So this project is, like I said, in conjunction or in partnership with United Way of Salt Lake and also the Utah Education Policy Center. You'll see there's also my contact information on this page. Today, tomorrow, throughout the rest of this school year, if you have questions about alignment, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and ideas and suggestions and questions and difficulties. I'm here for you guys. I know especially going into this year, things feel kind of weird or very weird. So know that all of us at the Utah After School Network, we are here to support you guys. Growing evidence suggests that intentional links between school day and after school programming can help support children's learning and development. So again, not just academics, but those critical social emotional skills as well. School day and after school alignment can help improve after school program quality. That's huge. And also can help maximize the benefits for youth, right? Which is why we're all here at the end of the day, is to help give quality experiences to the youth that we work with. The After School Alliance gives some good guidance on this project. They emphasize that after school is at its best when it complements and coordinates with, but does not replicate, the learning that occurs in the formal school day. So really kept that at the heart of our programming. We're not saying go in and crack the nut of what they're doing during the school day and do the same thing for after school. We're really emphasizing that they are different, they should feel different, but there are still creative links between the two that can help maximize those benefits for you. And then especially right now, during COVID-19 and all the craziness that it's brought into our lives, it's really important to have clear and timely communication with the school day. Principals, administrative staff, they have a lot on their plates right now and things are moving fast. So the more that we can streamline our communication with them to be efficient, the better. Especially, they're making a lot of decisions right now when it comes to in-person versus virtual learning. So this year is going to be full of a lot of unknowns, but I want to emphasize that shouldn't hold us back on planning after school. All right, a little bit of review for us, what we learned during last school year. We had alignment surveys that were administered to school day and after school personnel at 24 different sites during January and February. Survey results showed that both school day and after school personnel agree that the highest priorities when it comes to school day and after school alignment are to position and strengthen policies and processes to ensure student success and to work together to meet student needs and remove barriers. School day personnel reported that they would like to know more about the focus of the after-school program at their site, and they also wanted to know more about the methods and strategies behind behavior management. So those are some key takeaways. Another, I think, positive, awesome one is that our survey results showed that 77% of individuals from both school day and after school reported that they have a positive perception of the after school program. So I feel like this gives a lot of inspiration and motivation to keep going with this work. And it shows that you guys are doing an excellent job. I know we have sites here with us today that help to administer surveys, so thank you for that. Over the last 12 months, we had an Align for Success task force that met to work collaboratively on this project. Kira was a part of it. With 24 active members from both school day and after school, we had great representation. We had someone from the Utah State Board of Education. We had somebody from the Department of Workforce Services Office of Child Care, the Utah Education Policy Center, of course, Utah After School Network, and then also United Way of Salt Lake. Here's the definition that this group came up with for school day and after school alignment. You can see that there's a big focus on, it's not just academics. it goes beyond that. It has to do with communication and relationships, policies, shared resources, the needs of students, in addition to academics. One great resource that came out this last year was the Align for Success self-assessment rubric, which I know many of you are familiar with. A digital copy of this rubric can be found following the link on this presentation, and Chaz also got it on up in the chat. This is a resource that I would say site coordinators are strongly encouraged to complete, and really complete it with your whole team. This is an excellent exercise at the start of the school year. I would say wait about a month and then fill it out with your team. This is going to help you assess where you're at and to set goals of where you want to be by the end of the year. Depending on the dynamics too, this could be a great resource to bring to your school administrative team, especially your principal. I suggest that you may not want to say, here's the rubric, please fill it out. You may want to synthesize some of it on your own, have maybe a few areas that you've identified that you can bring into a conversation with your principal and really try to tease out of them which they feel might be the highest priority, or some methods that might come to mind on how to improve some of these areas. I really encourage you guys to think about or try to come up with your school administrative teams, 1 or 2 goals that you guys can agree on together to work on this school year, which I know is hard because there's so much else going on. But hopefully through this presentation, you'll discover that I think there's ways that we can fold it in and that they can complement each other and work together versus feeling like another thing that is put on everybody's plate. Really quickly on how to fill out the rubric, you're going to see each row represents 4 options that you might fall into within a certain area of alignment. The statement in the first or the far left column, the integrated column, represents the best practice for each of these alignment areas. So you may read the statements and feel like you fall within the best practice, or you might fall somewhere across the spectrum going from left to right. Once you've filled them all out for one of the alignment areas, you'll see the subtotals. Go ahead and count down each column from top to bottom to get a total for each of these statements. And it's going to auto-populate. That's something new coming this school year, is that this is a digital form. So it should, at the end, calculate those numbers for you and give you a total of where you fall on the alignment. We almost say alignment spectrum, from best practice to all the way down to sort of emerging in the practice. So you'll see that and be able to navigate through using the rubric. You'll also see at the end there are some great questions that you use synthesizing, going through the rubric to get you thinking about goals that you might want to set based off of your results. All right. So now what we're going to do, and just to preview the rest of this presentation, I'm going to walk you through some information on each of the 5 areas of alignment. And after that, we're going to break into small groups, and you're going to have a chance to really not only synthesize this information in this presentation, but also you'll have a chance to check out many awesome resources that we have on our website to be able to do some planning. So know that we're going to have some more interactive elements coming down the road very soon. But for now, we're going to take a look at each of these 5 areas. If you follow the link that's in the presentation, and I think Chaz will get it up into the chat window as well. If you're able to, I encourage you to have the page on the website up at the same time as the presentation, because they really complement each other nicely. But if you're not able to, that's okay too. But just wanted to open that up there for everybody. All right, so The relationship between after school and school day personnel sets a strong foundation for a well-working partnership. It's hard to think about setting goals in the other alignment areas without first working on your relationship and communication with school day folks. Setting a strong communication foundation with highly busy school day administrative staff might feel like an overwhelming, daunting task, which is why there's a large variety of resources provided for this section on the website. School administrative staff are busier than ever right now, but the more that we can streamline our communication because they're so busy, the better. The relationship tools on the website in that section include one-pagers and research on the benefits of partnering with after-school programs. Those are along the lines for after-school programs that might just be starting out at a site, or if you feel like you're in the beginnings of establishing a relationship with your principal, these could be great background materials to bring with you to a future meeting that you might have. There's also example meeting agendas, teacher communication tips, especially for those who are more seasoned in their position, who really could take it to the next level of communication. This area, I feel, takes a lot of vision work and a lot of thinking outside the box when it comes to collaboration. Do you feel that your school day staff have enough information to see the full picture of your program? That's maybe a key question for this area to keep in mind. And especially since this is the start of the school year, you can really get creative and think of some ways to get this information out to your school day staff, right? Like hitting the ground running at the beginning of the year. The policy area of alignment is one that heavily stood out to us in the surveys that were completed last winter. School day staff had questions around behavior policies within the after school program. So it's really important to create clear channels of communication regarding the policies that you have in your after school program. It's really important because it helps to bring a why to your program, and sending that why out to the greater school community. It can help with buy-in, help them understand a little bit more of the path that you're going down with your program. A great way to convey your policies and plans could be trying to get on the agenda for a staff meeting, which I know can be really hard. But I encourage you to keep trying. And even if it's only for a few minutes, being able to introduce yourself to school day staff and talk briefly about your grant funding and your attendance behavior policies can really go a long way with establishing those relationships. This is also the section where we need to be thinking about FERPA and data, right? Student data. Is it going to be FERPA waivers that your youth and their families will need to complete and turn back into you in order for you to access their data? Have you thought about what strategies you might implement at the start of the year to make sure that you're going to get a high return on these FERPA paperwork? Really good things to keep in mind. Shared resources. When it comes to good old shared resources, it can sometimes be hard to start out on the same page and remain there throughout the entire year. And then let's throw in COVID-19 on top of it, right? It feels like it's on a whole nother level. So setting clear expectations early and communicating clearly and frequently can certainly help in this area. Are school day personnel aware of the spaces that you're going to be using for your program? If you're using spaces like classrooms, are you in agreement with how the rooms should be cleaned and put back at the end of the day? What about materials such as sporting equipment and technology? Is there a system in place for cleaning and returning these items when you're done? I think many of us who have been in this field for at least a year or two know that if you don't pay attention to this area, it can cause headaches, especially busy teachers really respect when the things that they go to look for are where they expect them to be, and that if they have some criteria over a classroom being set up ready for them to do instruction the next day, that it's ready to go. So the more that we can communicate, the better. This is also the area where we think about not just shared materials or space, but we think about shared personnel. Do you have at your site any school day staff who are going to also be working in after school? They're awesome and uniquely positioned to have vast knowledge of the school day, but don't forget to have good conversations and to go into the similarities and differences between the after school program and the school day. That will help with their transition. Have you thought about asking your school day administrative teams if your after school staff can participate in professional development that they do for their teachers? This is another great one. If an opportunity to have crossover in professional development, research shows that can have a lot of benefits for both parties, right? That when we really can be in the same space and collaborate together, it can go a long way. Student needs. Our survey results showed that partnering with school day personnel on student needs is a very high priority for school day and after school staff. Are there ways that your program can reinforce school day student need areas? This will again take communication and exploration in thinking about behavioral, social, emotional, and attendance needs, and creating systems in your after school program that can help complement and work towards similar outcomes. This is a good time to bring up the program quality assessment tool that many or all of you should be familiar with. How do you plan in your program to give your youth opportunities to select activities and to be leaders in your program? This is a huge area when it comes to student needs, giving them some ownership over the program. And then lastly, this section also includes families. Can't forget about family engagement. Your programs can be that positive bridge between the school day and home life, helping families navigate and communicate with the school. And I think that's just always a great lens to keep as we move forward with our work, that we're here for the youth, but really we can be a great bridge and can really help families and parents navigate as well. Academic alignment, right? Here's our traditional one. Typically, when you think of school day and after school alignment, you think of academics. And although this isn't the full picture, it's definitely one important piece of the puzzle. What are your plans for communicating with your school about student academics? How well do you understand the Utah core standards? Do you plan on attending any meetings, or do you have access to the school academic calendar? There are so many fun ways to expand what students are learning during the school day, but of course that first step is knowing what's being taught when. Communicate with youth teachers can also give you insight as to what youth are really interested in. If Sally gets really excited during science lessons and you can gain that knowledge, then you have one more tool in your tool belt for engaging with Sally, really getting her involved with maybe some STEM activities. Have you thought about, or are you planning to set academic goals for your youth? And if you were going to do that, what would it look like? Whew, all right. That was a lot of information that I kind of threw at you guys all at once. You were great sticking with me. For the rest of our time together, or a good portion of it, we're going to be breaking you guys into small groups to be able to synthesize and really think about ways that you can implement the alignment resources and other resources on our website into your planning and your work for the fall. I just wanted to take a minute and show you. So here's one of the pages on the website specifically for alignment that is really useful. And hopefully all of you or most of you were able to find, here are the 5 areas. And if you click on these, they expand into different tools and resources. So if you need to circle back to that, now you know that there are all these different resources in each area. And I'm curious if there's anybody who would be willing to go and be on the spot for a minute or two and talk about maybe one resource that your group talked about or found useful within the website. Yeah, go for it.
Well, Holly, you can hear me, Holly?
Yep.
Okay. A lot of the things on the list, I recognize everything on there because in some form we're using every one of those resources. And I think, well, we've been a program going on our 15th year now. So if we weren't, we'd be a huge failure. So I was just talking to some of the newer staff that were in my group, some new staff that are about to start. And the thing that makes the school day alignment, the only way it will really work like seamlessly or as good as you can is if you have a great relationship with your principal and administrator. And the fact that they know exactly what your grant requirements are. I think a lot of problems we ran into over the years with some of our newer programs that start up is sometimes the principal does not share our vision. They sort of look at our program like an extra extension of somebody who can do stuff for them specifically. And so if you built a good relationship with your principal, as a lot of us that have been around for a long time realize that is like the first most important person you need to get on your team, and make sure they understand what your grant objectives are. Because at the end of the day, if we don't meet those, we will not be in your school very much longer. And it helps over here at our school also, and some of our other schools, to have staff that are already working in the school as regular school day staff. I'm not talking about the school day teachers who we hire to do extra classes, actual staff. Like I have 2 of my staff, all 3 of them at one time used to be school day working with the school. So they were able to bring all sorts of information and knowledge of these students and have a comfort level. And they knew how to access these students' grades and things like that. So, I mean, that helps, but I know everyone doesn't have that same situation. So it kind of like, it's great to have all those resources to be able to look at that you guys have on your website, especially for these newer programs. But when I see it, I see everything that we've been doing for I've been doing it. This is my 12th year now. So I'm pretty up to speed on what's going on. So just that, I'm telling anyone else who's listening, especially newer staff and new coordinators, that list is very helpful. So use it, use that resource, click on those extra things for the extra resources because it will help you with your program going forward. That is all I have to say right now, Holly.
That's what a great way to sum up this training. Thank you so much. And I agree. I think in addition to the resources on that page, just stressing to new staff, lean on, utilize your veteran staff, right? Like we had a great example with Jan just now of their knowledge, working knowledge with their principal. So don't be afraid to speak up and ask questions. If you're like, I've gone once or twice and they always say they don't have time to meet with me or whatever it might be, you lean on your fellow staff to brainstorm and think outside the box. Not every, principals don't come in a standard size. We know that. So, and there's always going to be new challenges, and COVID brings even more new challenges. So lean on each other. And I always say, the road to success is always under construction. So there's always new things to learn or new mentorship opportunities with fellow staff to have to continue down that road to success. I'm sticking around right now for anybody who might have lingering questions about school day and after school alignment or any of the other resources that you might have come across within UAN's website. Again, here's my contact information. And I didn't put it up here, but you all should be aware that you have a wonderful out of school time specialist, Erica Andino, who's here for you guys as well. So I strongly encourage you to get to know her, work with her. She's another link. You can always ask your questions to Erica, and if she wants to loop me into the conversation, she can do so. She's another awesome part of this UAN team for you guys. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up. Thank you guys for hopping on and exploring this topic with me for the past hour. I really hope that you have learned something new and that you're leaving with at least a couple fresh ideas to implement as you kick off the start of the school year. And I also lastly want to say that you guys do awesome work and it does not go unnoticed, especially by the whole amazing team with Utah After School Network. We see you guys. We appreciate you so much. We support you. We have weekly newsletters that are coming out. We have other webinars that I think through your trainings, you might have a chance to check out some of our past ones, but we support you guys. We're constantly trying to be innovative and come out with new ideas. And if you have any topics or ideas for us, please don't be shy. Let us know, because we're constantly undertaking the road of construction as well and are constantly learning. So with that, I'll stick around and answer any questions that you have. I don't know, Danielle, if you want to say a few words or if we're just going to call it a training.